So welcome everybody. Go ahead and take a quick moment to find yourself in a comfortable seat. If an upright seated posture is not feeling comfortable on your body this morning, you're welcome to lay flat. If a comfortable seated position is in your awareness this morning, we will start rather upright so that we can have a lot of space in our lower belly to fill with breath. You're welcome to grab for a cushion or a bolster or a block of some sort so that you can be perched up a little bit higher than just your mat, or flat down on your mat is totally welcome as well. So we will begin with allowing ourselves to arrive here in this present moment. Letting go of the morning that brought you here, letting go of the day that you'll step into when you leave your mat. And just fully allowing yourself to arrive here in this moment. Finding some long inhales and some long exhales. I invite you to notice wherever it is in your body that you most easily feel your breath. We don't need to create any challenge this morning or this afternoon, wherever you happen to land. But just notice, just take inventory, take stock on where it is that you feel your breath. Maybe you're noticing the air move in and out of your mouth or nose. Maybe you're noticing the movement of your chest or your belly. Wherever it is that has your attention, we'll give ourselves a couple more breaths to become really curious about this space and this sensation in our body. And as we move through our practice this morning, I encourage you to continue checking in with where it is in your body you feel your breath. You might notice that as you bring your body into different shapes and positions, that your breath moves along with it. You might find that bringing additional attention into the body, looking for the breath, helps the breath stay present. And as we begin to transition into the movement aspect of our yoga class this morning, allow your awareness to drop down from wherever it happens to be sitting in the body and make its way down into your sits bones, down into that place where your body makes contact with the earth or with your cushion or with your mat. And just begin to notice if you can gently shift the position and the weight of your body to really feel your body being held by your pelvis, be held by your sits bones. There might be some small, really organic movements happen just as your awareness travels into this space. Feel free to accentuate those movements to feel a little bit more grounded and centered. And the strength of our yoga poses comes from this place of foundation, whether it be our sits bones, the bottoms of our feet, our hands and knees. So we want to honor ourselves here in this space, feeling that connection to the earth, feeling the ground, feeling the structure of our body. And from here, we'll begin some gentle movements, rocking slightly forward on the front sides of the sits bones, creating a little arc in that low back as the belly button comes slightly forward. Take a big inhale here. And on the exhale, we'll roll to the back sides of the sits bones, letting that deep exhale bring the belly button in towards the spine. With our next inhale, we'll rock forward, maybe accentuating that movement now, letting the chest rise up towards the heavens, opening through heart center. And with our exhale, we'll let the shoulders roll down as the belly button comes towards the spine, maybe even bringing the chin towards the chest. And we'll continue this movement for a couple of more breaths, taking our spine through flexion and extension, Opening here through some seated cat and cow. Maybe allowing that deep inhale to bring the chin slightly elevated, letting that deep exhale bring the chin towards the chest. We'll do one more here, wherever you are. And with our next inhale, we'll come back to center, feeling those sits bones square down on the earth below us. Inhale brings our arms up towards the sky, reaching the fingers to the heavens. Strong, deep breath through the belly. As the fingers reach for the heavens, the shoulders are going to drop down the back, creating lots of space between the shoulder blades and the ears. And with our next exhale, we're going to arc to the right, keeping the sits bones grounded down into the earth. We're going to arc over to the right, trying to keep those sits bones even, trying to create space between the top of that left hip and the bottom of the left ribs. And with our next inhale, we'll come back to center. Exhale brings us to the left. Again, both sits bones stay grounded into the earth, and our inhale brings us back to center. On the exhale, we'll bring right hand down to the left knee, and the left hand will come around the back of the body, landing on our sacrum. With our inhale, we'll lengthen through the spine, and on the exhale, using that belly to deepen the twist. So the strength of our twist is going to come from our belly, using those external obliques, the transverse abdominis, really incorporating all of the abdomen here to twist slightly deeper. Maybe looking over the left shoulder if that feels good for you. And from here, we'll return back to center and let our inhale bring our arms to the heavens, reaching through those fingers. On the exhale, left hand will come down to the right knee. Right hand reaches around the back of the body, landing on the sacrum. Again, long and lengthening through the spine, using the exhale in the belly to twist, letting our gaze come over our right shoulder. One more breath here. And slowly return with the exhale all the way back through center. Let's take a couple nice big shoulder rolls up towards the sky, around back and down. And then changing directions, coming up from behind and forward. And from here, we'll take a moment to slide off of our cushion. So if you are seated up on one, go ahead and slide it out of your way. And we're going to bring our feet out directly in front. Let those toes reach up towards the heavens. We're going to get right up on top of our sits bones. Bringing the kneecaps back towards us, gently lifting the heels up off of the earth. Arms are going to rise to the sky. We're feeling that strength in our belly. Long inhale here. Strong in the quads, activating those legs, reaching through the heels. On our exhale, gently allow the heels to drop towards the earth. Fingertips are going to throw out over the toes. Imagine those fingertips are 10 inches longer than they are, reaching out in front. Belly button comes down towards the thighs first. Hands can land on the lower leg, the ankles maybe to the left and right sides of the legs, wherever it is that those hands naturally want to land. Eventually, we'll let our chin drop and the gaze comes to the knees. Being mindful that we're rolling our sits bones out behind us. So it might mean that a bend in the knees is most appropriate for you at this moment. Maybe one bend and one straight. You can pedal out the feet, shifting from side to side. Noticing that those hamstrings are going to want to pull the sits bones towards the heels. So just ever so slightly attempting to keep the sits bones out behind us, protecting that low back. With our next inhale, we'll place the hands just below the knees, lengthen through the spine, sit up nice and tall, strong in the belly, lift through the center of the head. And on the exhale, we'll come forward. Belly button comes down first, chest, chin, and finally the gaze drops to our knees. We'll breathe here. Notice if you've come up to your edge, we can slowly back off from that edge. We don't need to push through it. Noticing that the gentleness of the breath, the gentleness of sitting at our edge is usually a little bit more productive. Gives our body space, gives our mind space, Allows us to stay away from that sympathetic activation of pain. You want to back off if anything hurts. And we'll take one more breath here. And our next inhale will bring us all the way back through center. Engage that belly to help you sit up nice and tall. We're going to bring the left foot in with us, placing the bottom of the foot on the inside of the right leg. Right arm is going to rise to the sky. We're going to reach through those right fingers. Again, throw the fingers way out over those right toes. The hand's going to land on the inside of the right leg, maybe the ankle or the foot, as the left arm reaches up for the heavens. We're going to reach through those left fingers, lengthen through the side body. And then the left arm's going to reach up and over the center of the head. Bicep traces over the ears, and we're reaching for our right toes. Left sits bone stays grounded into the earth. Lots of space across the top of that left hip. And with our inhale, we'll slowly come back through center, sitting up nice and tall. We're going to place one hand on either side of this left knee. Our right leg is going to swing behind us, curl those right toes under, gently press through the palms, and we're going to step the left foot back and find a plank. Knees to the ground is a welcomed modification here if you want to leave those knees down, or you can bring them up and find a plank. We want to engage through the belly. Feel that long line from the heels up and out the back of the body and out the center of the head. We'll take one more breath here. And on our exhale, the left knee will return to that space between the hands, gently lowering down the body, releasing those right toes, and we'll roll back over on that left hip as the right toes make their way to the heavens. And from here, we'll bring the right foot in to meet the left, making our way into Baddha Konasana. Heels come down towards the earth. Fingertips can reach around the toes, and we'll take a nice big inhale, opening the heart, lifting that chest, rolling the shoulders back. And on the exhale from here, we'll fold forward. Belly button comes down first, and then chest, chin, and finally gaze drops to the toes. And we'll find our breath here. Slowly inhale back to center, sitting up nice and tall. The right leg will stay where it is, and our left foot will extend out in front. Left arm reaches up for the sky. From here, we come forward. Left hand lands on the inside of the left leg, the ankle, or foot. Right arm's going to reach for the sky. Reach through those right fingers, and then the bicep traces over the ear. Fingertips make their way towards the left toes. Notice if that right sits bone is trying to come with, maybe ground that sits bone down into the earth. And we'll take 2 more breaths here. And with our inhale, slowly coming all the way back through center. We'll place one hand on either side of this right leg. Left foot will swing behind us. Curl those left toes under, lift through the back of that left knee, and then we'll step the right foot back to find plank. Again, knees to the ground is more than welcome, even a child's pose if that's calling for you this morning. Peel the belly up and away from the earth. Feel the long line from the heels, up the spine, out the center of the head. Gaze is between the hands. And with our exhale, the right knee will come back through center, landing between those hands, rolling the left toes to the sky, coming back up on top of the sits bones, and then the left foot will come in to meet the right as we make our way back into Baddha Konasana. Sitting up nice and tall here, maybe even opening the feet like a book if that feels good for you this morning. If not, we can leave the feet together. We're going to lengthen through the spine, lift through the center of the head, and then our fingertips will come behind the body. Fingertips reaching into the earth, shoulder blades coming towards one another, heart reaching for the sky, and we'll take one long deep breath here. And with our exhale, hands come back in front of the body, and we're going to make our way onto hands and knees. Feel free to take your time. We're going to bring our knees directly below our hips. Palms come directly below the shoulders. Finding that nice strong tabletop, the tops of the feet are landing on the earth. We're gonna feel the engagement of the belly here, just letting our belly know what we're asking out of it by gently pressing the tops of the feet down into the earth and slightly lifting the knees. You'll feel that strong activation in the core. We wanna try to hold that activation as we let our knees come back down into the earth. So strong through that core, but taking nice, long, deep inhales and exhales. We're gonna shift the weight onto the right knee. Left foot will reach out behind, attempting to get that left leg parallel with the earth if possible. And then the right arm will reach out in front. We're making our way into our bird dog this morning. Reach through those right fingers, reach through that left heel. One more breath. And with our exhale, we'll let the hand come to the earth. We're gonna leave that left leg out behind us. Turn the toes so that they're facing away from the body and gently bring the foot to the earth. Big toe edge of the foot's gonna land down on the mat. Left arm's gonna reach for the sky. We can stay right here, opening through that side body, or if we wanna add a little bit of heat into the body, we can lift that left leg back up off of the earth. Feeling the activation in the glutes, in the side body, engaging through the belly, through the back, through the leg, reaching out through that heel. So choose which one feels right for you this morning. We'll take one more breath wherever we are. And with our exhale, gently unwind, bringing the left hand to the earth, left toes come back down to the mat. We'll leave that leg extended out long, reaching through the left heel. Shifting the weight into the hands, those toes are gripping into the earth so that we can open through the foot, the Achilles, even into that lower leg. And with our exhale, we'll return to all fours. Feel free to wag the tail here, maybe shift your weight from left to right. You're always welcome to jump off those wrists and give them a little bit of love if they need that. And from here, we'll find our strong tabletop. Again, activate through that core. Nice long, deep inhales and exhales. Weight comes into the left knee as the right leg extends out behind. Reach through that right heel. As you're ready, left hand reaches out in front. And we find our breath here. One more long breath. And then gently bringing the hand to the earth. We're gonna turn those toes to the right, and then the big toe edge of the foot will land down on the mat with the leg extended out behind us. From here, right arm's gonna reach for the sky. We can stay right here, opening through the side body, engaging that left side of the body. Or again, you're welcome to bring that right leg up away from the earth. If it doesn't want to come all the way to parallel, anywhere along that horizon is fine. Just keep the activation in the hip, activation in the belly, activation in the glutes. Nice and strong here, find your breath. And with our exhale, gently unwind, right hand comes to the earth, keep the leg extended out behind and the toes make their way down to the mat. We're gonna shift the weight out that right heel, opening through the lower leg and the foot. And with our exhale, we'll return to all fours. Again, wag that tail if that feels good for you. Maybe drop down into a child's pose, do a little cat and cow. Bring some of your own organic movement into your practice. And with our next inhale, we'll all meet back up in tabletop, strong belly. From here, we'll curl our toes under, roll those sits bones slightly to the heavens, and then we'll shift into a downward dog. Lifting up through the hips, shifting the weight back towards the heels. Let's go ahead and pedal out those feet as we make our way into our dog. Rolling the sits bones up towards the sky, reaching the heels towards the earth. We'll take one more breath here. And with our inhale, our right foot's gonna come forward up in between the hands. That can take 1 or 2 steps, or you can do it all in one sweep. Whatever feels right for you. We're gonna ground our feet for warrior one. So that left heel is gonna come to the earth. Taking just a moment for that foundation we mentioned earlier with the right heel in line with the instep of the left foot. Foundation of our pose is most important. Strong in the belly. As we come up in warrior one, we want to engage through the belly, feel the back of the body activate, and those glutes are really strong as they bring us up into our warrior one with our fingers reaching to the heavens. Find our breath here. We want to try to bring that left hip forward as the right hip shifts slightly back. if you find that's not possible in the stance that you're in, you can bring the feet a little closer together. You want to try to keep those hips nice and square, right knee directly above or somewhere behind the ankle. Breathing into our warrior, we'll take one more breath here. And with our exhale, we'll transition into warrior two. Arms come out at a T, maybe a slightly wider stance if that feels good on your pelvis. We're gonna reach through those fingers, drop the shoulders. Imagine that you're trying to wrap the right knee around the baby toe, keeping the inside of that right leg nice and open and active. We find our breath here. Again, notice, where is it in my body that I feel my breath at this moment? Maybe if it's up in the chest or throat, we can see if we can drop it a little bit lower, bringing the breath into the belly. And with our exhale, we'll find peaceful warrior. Left hand will come down behind us, right arm reaches up towards the sky. Opening through the belly, keep that right knee directly above or somewhere behind the ankle. And with our inhale, we'll make our way back into warrior two. And slowly release to the earth. We're going to windmill the arms down, stepping the right foot back to meet the left. We're going to bring our knees to the earth and find a child's pose. Forehead to the floor, reach the hips to the heels. Breathe here. And with our next inhale, we'll come back up to all fours, finding that nice strong tabletop. Just briefly here, and then we curl the toes under, hips to the sky, downward dog. Maybe a gentle shake of the head, yes, or a shake of the head, no. Pedal out the feet if that feels right for you. And with our next inhale, we're going to bring our left foot forward in between the hands. Take your time getting your foot up there, and again, grounding the feet for warrior one. Foundation of the pose first. Feel the feet ground into the earth, engage the belly, strong in that left quad. Glutes activate to bring us all the way up. We want to be mindful that we're using the movement and strength of the body rather than a momentum of flinging the body upwards. We're listening to that activation, breathing into the muscles. We'll take one more breath here. And we'll make our way into warrior two. Arms open wide like a T, gazes over the left finger. Shoulders are down and back. Reaching through those fingers. Left knee stays directly above or somewhere behind the ankle. If you're noticing, if you look down briefly and notice that this left knee is leaning in and away from the toes, see if we can bring our stance a little closer together so we can keep that knee directly over the ankle rather than rocking in towards the middle of the body. Being really mindful of our joints here. A couple extra cues since I can't see you on this platform. So listen to your body, strong in the belly, one more breath. And on the exhale, we'll find our peaceful warrior. That left arm reaches up, arcing out over the center of the head. Find the breath. And slowly inhale back into warrior two. And then we'll windmill to the earth, one hand on either side of that left foot. We're going to step the foot back, find plank just for a moment, strong in the belly, long in the spine. And then the knees come to the earth, and we'll shift back for a child's pose, forehead to the floor. We're going to take a couple more long breaths here. Keep this child's pose nice and active. So keep those fingers pressed into the earth. Armpits are nice and strong, kind of bracing up away from the mat. And the hips are reaching for the heels. And with our next inhale, we'll come back up to all fours. Roll those sits bones to the sky, curl the toes under, and we'll find downward dog.
One more long breath here. And then slowly start to walk the hands back to meet the feet, finding our way into our full forward fold. Feet are grounded down into the earth. The hands can stay on the mat or they can interlace at the elbows. Just letting go of that upper body with a gentle shake of the head yes and a gentle shake of the head no. Releasing the neck, releasing the shoulders, taking a little bit of pressure off the spine. Sits bones continue rolling to the heavens, and we're soft and buoyant in the knees. Placing the hands just below the knees, we'll find a flat back. Gently press those hands into the shins as we lengthen through the spine. Back is nice and long, sits bones reach for the heavens, long in those hamstrings. And on our exhale, we'll fold forward. We're going to take our time coming to standing. Soft in the knees, we'll roll up one vertebrae at a time. Keep that belly button nice and strong in towards the spine as we roll all the way up. Stacking those vertebrae right on top of the one below, rolling the shoulders down and back, lifting through the center of the head, and we make our way into our mountain. Tadasana, feeling those feet ground into the earth. Find the buoyancy in the knees, neutral pelvis, long and strong in the spine. Eyes can be closed or we can settle our gaze down on the earth in front of us. We'll take a long breath here. Notice where in my body now do I feel the breath. And with our inhale, arms rise, reaching through those fingers. We're going to arc to the right. Keep those feet grounded into the earth. Attempt to not bring all the weight into that right foot as we arc over. Go ahead and grab for the left wrist and give a little bit of a pull, just a tiny bit more information into the body. Just about 5 grams of pressure here coming into the body. And with our inhale, we'll come back to center. Exhale to the left. Go ahead and grab that right wrist. Again, just a little tiny bit of information. We don't want to yank on that arm. Just as a guide, guiding the arm which direction we want it to go. And slowly coming back to center. Arms reach out to the left and right as we swan dive down to the earth. Strong in the belly, long in the spine. Fingertips reach away from the body and we're in our full forward fold. Finding a half lift, hands land just below the knees, long and strong in the spine, and then exhale, we fold forward. Soften those knees as much as you need to get the hands to the earth, and then we're gonna walk those hands out in front, making our way into downward dog. As we find our dog, we'll take one long deep breath here, rolling our sits bones to the heavens, heels to the earth. And then gently start to shift forward. We'll make our way into plank. Shoulders come directly over the wrists. We're up on those toes, strong in the belly. We've got lots of options to come to the earth. You can bring knees down and then lower through the elbows, bringing chest and chin. Or if you want a little bit more strength in your practice, you can come down through chaturanga. Keep that back nice and long and strong and lower down body. All in one soft, gentle movement, making our way to the earth. The hands are just below the armpits. Elbows are tucked in nice and close to the body. And with our inhale, we'll bring our gaze out in front and find a cobra. Point through those toes, peel the belly up and away from the earth. Shoulders are dropping down, reaching through the center of the head. And on our exhale, we'll come all the way to the earth. Go ahead and take your time rolling over onto your back. From here, we're going to bring our knees into our chest, giving those knees a great big hug with a gentle rock from side to side, or maybe having a little bit of an egg beater, or even a happy baby or a lazy happy baby. Again, let this be your practice. Let this be a little bit organic, finding a position of the hips that feels good for you. And from here, we'll take one more long breath.
And with our exhale, we'll bring our feet down to the earth. We're going to keep the knees standing, so the heels stay nice and close in towards our sits bones. We're going to bring the palms of the hands down onto the earth by our side. Imagine that we've got a ball or a block between the knees. So we want to keep those knees nice and straight from a long line from the hips to the tip of the knee. With our next inhale, we're going to bring a gentle pelvic tilt into our positioning. So gently turn that tailbone so that it points to the space between the knees. That'll flatten the low back down on the earth. You can also think about the cue of bringing the pubic bone towards the bottom ribs. So finding a cue that resonates with you, and the low back is going to press down into the earth. From this position, we're going to gently start to lift the pelvis. So again, imagining those legs are nice and strong. There's a ball or a block that we're holding onto. And from here, we're going to lift the pelvis towards that space between the knees, lifting the lumbar spine off of the ground. And then releasing the lumbar spine back down onto the earth. And then the tailbone points down to the earth and the belly button rises towards the sky. So a couple more of those, just really gentle. We're not moving into a full bridge. We're just taking that lumbar spine through a little bit of a tilt up and then down. We'll do one more here. Tailbone points to the space between the knees, and then the tailbone points to the earth. And slowly bringing ourselves back to center. We're going to bring our knees into our chest. Holding onto those knees, we'll take a mindful head to knee. So we gently press the knees away from the body. We tuck our chin and our forehead comes towards the knees. So we've got a nice rounded spine, belly in towards the spine. And on our exhale, we'll release all the way down. Bringing our feet to the earth, we'll let our legs extend and our arms come up overhead. Nice and long through the body, full body breath. And gently exhale. We're going to bring our feet to the bottom right corner of the mat. Go ahead and cross that left foot over the right. And then our arms are going to come to the upper right corner of the mat, and we'll hold on to that left wrist. So we're breathing from the left pinky finger to the left pinky toe. Really enjoying these side bends this morning, creating lots of space through our torso before we spend the day potentially in front of our computers all day. Just giving our bodies a little bit of information to maybe remind us through the day to step up, arc from left to right, rotate the spine, rotate the pelvis. And from here, we'll come back to center and then gently walk our feet to the bottom left corner of the mat, and we'll cross the right foot over. Arms come to the upper left corner, and we'll hold on to that right wrist, and we're breathing down the right side of the body. Again, from that right pinky finger to the right pinky toe. Lots of nice, big, beautiful space between that right hip and the lower rib, space between each rib, creating space in those transverse processes of the spine. So long, deep breaths here. And slowly returning to center. Our last deep full body breath from fingertips to toes. And then we'll release our hands to come down by our sides. Go ahead and let those hands be open to the space in the room. So the backs of the hands are going to land down on the earth by your side. We'll let the feet flop open. Just allow them to be held by the heels. Gently placing the tongue right behind the front two teeth where the teeth meet the roof of the mouth. So allow the jaw to be open and soft. If the eyes aren't already closed, feel free to let the eyelids drop down, feeling the eyeballs drop back into the sockets. If that's not a comfortable position for you, just go ahead and let the gaze settle on a spot on the ceiling above you. As we soften through the eyes and the jaw, we might notice a softening along the back of the neck and the tops of the shoulders. Maybe a softening down the backs of the arms or the backs of the legs.
From here, our palms are open as our fingers are unfurled, just releasing any tension that may be holding in the hands. As scholars and graduate students, we spend a lot of time with our fingers curled, typing on a computer or holding a mouse. And so giving ourselves this opportunity to open the fingers, maybe even spread the fingers with a little bit of activation, and then releasing, letting those hands land on the earth, just enjoying the space in the palms. And from here, I invite you to bring your attention back to wherever it is in the body that you notice your breath. Maybe it's the same place as when we started class, or maybe it's somewhere different. And if you are noticing the breath with a feeling of constriction in the chest or the throat, I encourage you to allow your awareness and your gaze to come down into your low belly and see if that maybe allows the breath to also come into the low belly. Feeling a softening in the back of the throat, maybe a softening across the front of the chest, and bringing our awareness down into that soft space of the low belly, that space between belly button and pubic bone. Letting the breath fill this space. And we'll take a couple more deep breaths here. Notice if the mind is wandering away, we can simply invite it to come back to the breath, letting the breath be our anchor into this present moment. We might notice that as the mind wanders away, the breath shortens, or maybe even stops. So we invite the awareness to come back into the breath, reminding the body to take those long, deep inhales and long, deep exhales. Enjoying the present moment. With our next inhale, allow your awareness to travel into the right palm of the hand. Gently bring those fingers in towards the palm and enjoy a soft squeeze. A really gentle fist, waking up the fingers, waking up the palm, and then slightly rolling the wrist in one direction and in the other. Some soft and fluid movement through the wrist. And then allow the fingers to unfurl and the palm again opens to the space in the room. And then the awareness can travel over to the left, noticing that left palm, bringing the fingers in, creating just a soft and gentle fist, and rolling the wrist ever so slightly in one direction and then the other. And then slowly unfurl the fingers, letting the palm again open to the space in the room. Breathing again into this present moment. Long inhale, long exhale. And then we'll let our awareness travel down into the feet. Notice the feet floating in space. Maybe you're aware of the air moving across the toes, or the way that your foot feels inside of a sock. And gently point through those toes, lengthening across the tops of the legs. And then we'll flex the feet, reaching out through the heels. And then just gently rolling the ankles in one direction and then the other. And then slowly coming back into stillness, we'll take a long breath here. With our next inhale, gently start to bring the right heel towards the right glutes, and then we'll stand the right knee. And then the left heel can slide towards the left glutes and gently stand the left knee. If it feels right for you at this moment, you can take some time rolling onto one side, allowing yourself to breathe into this new shape. And we'll use those nice, long, conscious, deep inhales and exhales to bring ourselves up to a comfortable seated position. And as we gently press up, you can find yourself cross-legged on your mat. You can perch up on a cushion, make your way onto your knees, whatever feels most comfortable for you. And we'll all take a long breath here together. Arms rise to the sky on the inhale, reaching through the fingers. Palms come to touch, and on the exhale, we'll bring our hands to heart center. I want to thank you all for coming out and being with us this morning or this afternoon, this evening. I hope that you have a wonderful day at the RC, and we will be here at 7 o'clock Pacific time every morning this week. So I hope to see you again. Thank you all so much and have a lovely day.
Thank you, Jen.